Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, let's jump right in. We're looking at a sweeping 120-year epic today, the story of Moses. Now, you probably already know the basics, so we're going to move past the Sunday school version and really unpack the deep, fascinating dynamics of leadership, human frailty, and deliverance found right here in the source text. I mean, this is a narrative that has literally shaped centuries of human history, and we're going to see exactly how it all unfolds.
To help us navigate this massive narrative, we'll be following a pretty clear roadmap: the boy in the basket, the burning bush, the 10 plagues, trials in the wilderness, and finally, the final mountaintop. Our journey spans 5 very distinct eras. We go from his birth and palace life in Egypt over to a quiet exile in Midian, then that massive, unforgettable deliverance at the Red Sea, the giving of the law at Mount Sinai, and it all wraps up with his lasting legacy right at the borders of Canaan. Section 1, the boy in the basket. Here's where it kicks off. The Israelite population is booming, and a new, frankly terrified Pharaoh issues this devastating decree. Every single newborn Israelite boy has to be thrown into the Nile River. It's a brutal reality, and it forces one desperate Levite mother into hiding. She keeps her baby concealed for 3 months, but eventually she has to seal him in an asphalt-coated basket and just leave him among the river reeds, hoping for the best. And talk about an incredible twist of fate, right? The boy is found by none other than Pharaoh's own daughter who's down there bathing. His sister, Miriam, is watching from a distance, making sure he's okay. The princess's heart just melts for this kid. She names him Moses, meaning water, because she pulled him from the river. And thanks to Miriam's quick thinking, Moses is actually nursed by his own mother before moving into the palace. It is a profound irony. The future liberator of the Israelites is raised right there in the house of the ultimate oppressor. But as we'll see, his heart absolutely remains with his people. Which brings us to Section 2, the burning bush. Fast forward a bit. Moses has killed an abusive Egyptian guard, fled for his life, and settled into a quiet, totally obscure life as a shepherd in Midian, marrying a woman named Zipporah. But that quiet life, it ends dramatically on Mount Horeb. He's just out there grazing sheep when he's confronted by a miraculous bush that is on fire, but somehow it isn't burning up. And God speaks directly from those flames, telling Moses to take off his shoes because he's standing on holy ground, and calling him to go back to Egypt to free his people. Now, faced with this absolutely monumental task, Moses is terrified, understandably so. He immediately doubts himself, asking, "Who am I to do this? Like, why me?" But the response he gets isn't some detailed 10-point battle plan. It's just a simple, profound guarantee. I am with you. That divine assurance, that promise of presence, is the tipping point that finally convinces him and his brother Aaron to go back and confront the most powerful man on earth. Moving right along to Section 3, the 10 plagues. So they go to Pharaoh, and Pharaoh flatly refuses to free the Israelites. No surprise there. But what follows is a rapid, overwhelming succession of plagues meant to completely break his resistance. We're talking the Nile turning into literal blood, swarms of frogs, lice, flies, animal death, boils, massive hail, locusts, and 3 agonizing days of dense darkness. It escalates terribly right up to the tragic 10th plague. Ultimately, only the Israelites who place innocent lamb's blood on their doorposts are spared, while every single firstborn in Egypt perishes, including Pharaoh's own son. Out of sheer devastation, Pharaoh finally lets them go. But, of course, he changes his mind and chases after them. So now the Israelites are totally trapped. They've got the Red Sea in front of them and an advancing, furious Egyptian army behind them. It's an incredible cliffhanger. Yet, this terrifying dilemma is resolved when Moses prays, and the sea miraculously parts. They walk right through on dry land, and the waters completely swallow the Egyptian army in their wake. A clean, miraculous getaway. Now we enter Section 4, Trials in the Wilderness. Safely across the sea, you'd think they'd be celebrating for months, right? Well, that euphoria of freedom fades incredibly fast when basic survival needs kick in. The desert is unforgiving, and you really have to pay attention to this frustrating, recurring cycle in the text. The Israelites constantly forget their miraculous deliverance. They complain about thirst, they complain about hunger. Moses steps in, he intercedes, he prays, and then God provides. Bitter water is made sweet, manna literally rains down from the sky, and massive flocks of quail are sent to satisfy their hunger. But the ultimate test of their patience drops when Moses climbs Mount Sinai to receive the 10 Commandments. He's gone for several days, and the Israelites just get impatient. They actually convince Aaron to build a golden calf to worship instead.
When Moses comes down that mountain and sees this massive betrayal, total heartbreak. He's so furious that he shatters the stone tablets right there on the ground before completely destroying the idol. But what happens next is arguably Moses' most desperate and profound moment of leadership. Following this massive rebellion, he falls before God and lays his own life on the line. He pleads for his people, basically saying, if you won't forgive them, then please just erase my name from your book. It's an incredible display of selfless leadership. And in an act of profound mercy, God hears that prayer, forgives the people, and provides a fresh set of stone tablets. Eventually, they reach the very border of Canaan, the Promised Land. Moses sends 12 men to scout it out. But the report they bring back deeply divides the camp, and it proves a pretty tragic reality. Sure, they had left Egypt, but the fear of Egypt hadn't really left them. 10 of those spies spread absolute terror about the mighty enemies living there. Out of all of them, only 2, Joshua and Caleb, show any sort of unwavering faith in God's promise.
Because of that unfaithfulness, because they just flat out refuse to trust the promise, they face a massive, heartbreaking consequence: 40 years. 40 years of languishing out there in the harsh wilderness, waiting for an entirely new generation to rise up, a generation that is actually ready to trust and enter the land. And that brings us to Section 5, the final mountaintop.
As those 40 long years wear on, the crushing, relentless pressure of leadership finally causes Moses to snap. The camp is thirsty and rebellious yet again. God instructs Moses to simply speak to a rock to bring forth water, but instead he disobeys. In a moment of pure frustration, he strikes the rock twice with his stick in anger. The crazy thing is, the water still flows. God still provides, but by lashing out, Moses fails to fully reveal and honor God's holiness in front of the people. And because of that single, highly public failure, Moses is barred from actually entering Canaan. It's tough to swallow, but remarkably, he doesn't grow bitter or resentful. Instead, he faithfully does his final job. He prepares his successor, Joshua. He passes the torch with this incredibly powerful message of courage, assuring him that God himself will go with him and secure the victory. Finally, ascending Mount Nebo, Moses looks out over the absolute entirety of the Promised Land, a land he knows he will never walk in. And right there, at the incredible age of 120, he surrenders his soul to God. As the Israelites spend 30 days mourning his death, and Joshua officially steps into the lead, we're really left with a profound question about the true nature of leadership. Think about it. Though he never set foot in the Promised Land, didn't his 120-year legacy of leadership and law shape human history far more than his own physical arrival in Canaan ever could? His life ended on that mountain, but his teachings, his endurance, and his obedience, they live on even today. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.